What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. Been a while since I did a video. So video we're going to do today, I have got the old Poulan Pro 42cc 4218 ABX. Done a couple videos on that guy trying to put a new ring in, and we were still really low on compression, and it didn't want to run, so it would bog down. So what I did is I ordered a complete kit. You get a new cylinder, you get a new piston, you get a new ring, you get a new pin, you get new bearings, new seals, new slides, plug, gaskets, carburetor rebuild kit, and fuel lines and primer bulb. All for like, I think it's like 36 bucks. I figured, what the heck, let's try it out. This all's been good. I've used the heck out of it. It's wore out. Here's the old piston and cylinder, and it just got a lot of slop in there. Had a pretty large ring gap, so we're going to throw this stuff in the garbage, and we're going to put this guy in. So I went through it. There's our ring. I was checking the ring gap. I don't know if you guys can see down in there. It's probably too dark. Anyway, it's got a nice tight ring gap, so hopefully this will be good. Now, one thing that I did notice, these bearings and seals that come with it, these are not stamped Japan, so I'm positive they are not out of Japan. And even though they're new, they don't feel good. Feel like a flat spot in there. And the seals are, these seals are pretty garbage too. So I'm not going to use them. We're going to keep the original bearings on there. Original bearings, they feel fine. The seals are, I believe, good enough. Like I said, it's old saw. This is just going to be like a delimber brush saw, something I can, if they hit the dirt, I don't care. So the crank, I don't have any up and down play. Quite a bit of side to side, but no up and down, so I think we're good. So what we need to do, I've got the saw tore down. If you want to see how to get to this point, go back to that first video of Poulan Pro 42cc complete teardown, and you can watch there. I'll show you how to tear that down. But from here, what we need to do is we need to get the piston onto the crank and start getting this back together. Oh, one thing I want to mention, they do send you gaskets. They send you new sleeves, everything. However, this is for the carburetor and the exhaust. They do not send you a new gasket for your intake manifold. And that is this guy, and I happened to tear him trying to get it off so I could try to reuse it. So I think what we're going to do is we'll do some gasket maker on both sides, and hopefully it'll be good. And it's just to seal out the air from coming into the unit. So don't want air don't want air bypassing the carburetor. Alright, so what we've got to figure out first is which way this piston goes. Now, you've got an arrow it's showing you exhaust. As normally on most pistons, the arrow's facing exhaust. So we know the exhaust is on this side, and you can tell with all the porting that is up in the cylinder that goes on the side with all the ports on the piston. Oh, easy. So we know that's got to go in there like that. So which way does the crank go? Well, if you look at the crank, you've got this screw right here. This is for the oiler. And then this threaded in here is for your flywheel. So, looking at your saw, the oiler and clutch, they are on the right side of the saw. And the flywheel and pull start is on the left side. Did I say right? Get one pin or clip in this guy. Comes with new clips. I think these are called G clips or something. They are they're a little easier to deal with than these little clips. Comes factory. These are terrible. So let's see. These guys ought to work. So you've got to get it in there and then rotate it around to make it seat. So push the end in there and rotate it around, and I heard it click. And as you see, that clip is sitting in the groove where it needs to be. Okay. Let's get some oil on this bearing. Go ahead and oil up this pin. Like so. Get it lined up. Push it in. There we go. Okay, that's fine. Let's get our ring on. See, the ring got a number on it. Number faces up. You can also tell because the cutouts that are on there, and the pins on the top, so that tells you those go up. Get one side in there, and just roll it around, and there it is. Alright, so we're going to get some oil on here. This piston and ring. Sitting right there on that pin. Upside down, make it a little bit easier. Alright. So it is in there. Push it up a little bit. Just make sure your pin is ring is in the right there on the pin. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do a little bit of ultra black just to make sure this bottom end seals up. I'm using a little goof off, clean the surface here, and all the oil and residue off that. So that can dry, and then we'll put the proper torque on it once we get it back in the housing. All right. We'll be back when that dries. All right. Well, I made a mistake. Now I bet you somebody caught it. Somebody out there was yelling at me on the screen. But anyway, yes, I did. I forgot to put the slides in. So guess what? I had to pull it back apart. Forgot to put the valve slides in. So no big deal. Just put a little more ultra black on there, get it off that, and got the slides in. So let's go ahead and put this back in. Make sure we are facing the right direction. Right. Expect, right? Anyway, I did put this intake manifold back on because these two screws you can't get to once you put it in the saw, so make sure you put that back on first. Let's put this in the saw and get it bolted down. Little groove on this side that the manifold goes into. Go. Okay. All right. Sure, we're good over here. Looks good. All right. So Now that we've got it back in there and re-glued, just let it dry and we'll continue later. Alright guys, it's the next day, so let's start getting this thing back together, see how she runs. Put the old plug in because I've got oil down in there where we rebuilt it and I don't want to foul out the new plug, so it is a good plug, I know it works. I did go ahead and put a little bit of the ultra black gasket maker on there to hold gaskets in place. So let's get started. I'm curious to see how it runs. I know when I try to rotate it over, it feels really good. A whole lot more compression than it used to have. So I believe that may fix our problem. Heck, I know it can't hurt. Two nuts and one screw. Don't make dirty jokes on that one. I see some of you out there. So other than, I don't know what's off in that piston, but it's got like a slap at the top end of the cycle, which it's not good. But okay, I've lost my screwdriver right in front of me. We'll see. We will see. I don't plan on using this guy much, so who knows. Snug these down a little at a time since it's a new gasket. Oh, about knocked you guys over, sorry about that. Good. Alright. So, let's go ahead and get flywheel on. This does not have a Woodruff key, but it does have a cutout, and you've got a little notch on the back of your flywheel. Actually, you know what? Yeah, let's get the flywheel on first before we put on the pickup. I believe we are in that notch. I think that's the one. Where's the big screwdriver? I like to get it in on the thick side. Don't put it on one of the fins, you'll break it off. Just do it like that there against the table. Hold it down a little bit. good. Alright, let's move on. I already stuck the oiler on, it's just 2 screws, and this assembly here pulls out, that pops out, it's no big deal. Clutch. Where's my big washer? There it is. Alright, big washer goes on first. Clutch assembly. Let's go ahead and clean that off while we get it out. Be careful with these guys, they're spring loaded. So if you tilt that, if you tilt either one of these the wrong way off of that, it's going flying. I've had one fly off when I was testing the salt one time. That thing came flying off there and hit the ground, and pieces shot everywhere. Never found everything. Had to order a new clutch. Alright, so this one is reverse thread, and it should be labeled on your just need, I mean, you don't have to be super tight. I just like to get it on there and snug it up just a little bit. And probably should put this back on first. Make sure you get your stars lined up. Especially this under spring tension, so it's not exactly straight, and that's why it's being a little bit of a pain. Let's see if I can give it a little push from this side. Do it. Let's get a couple screws in there to hold it. This one's a fun one to get to. See, back up in there. There we go. Alright, retainer, washer, and an E-ring D-clip. Those little suckers that go flying across the room, you never find them. You guys know what I'm talking about. You were on the wide jaw. How'd you switch back? There you go. Alright. Cross your fingers. Alright, we're not going to put the cover on because chain and the bar and all that be in the way. We do need a pickup. Okay, those screws are pieces of paper. Looks good. Alright. Something's not lining up. There we go. Okay. Everything there is looking good. This exhaust on. Gasket still good from last time. Don't worry about that. Come on. In case I have to take them back off. I don't want them locked in there. Alright, spark arrestor. Are we going to be able to get the choke back on? Let's see. Put it right in there. Maybe. Maybe. Maybe not. Okay, so it went in like that. Should be able to. Oh, come on. Nope. Took a risk on breaking it, but you know what? I didn't. Air filters on. Gotta get this cover on and we can try it out. Let's make sure that we're not going to pinch a wire over here. It's always a tricky spot. Yeah. wire likes to go behind that. Tuck that down. I don't know if you guys can see, but I'm tucking it down. 3 wires, tucking them down behind the brake there, because this gets in the way. Yeah. Be 4 of those. A lot more than I had. Alright. A little bit of my test 41 here. Let's try it out. I hate these caps. They always get stuck. Always. Those caps, either they always get stuck or they start leaking. Let's prime it up. Alright, I got fuel. I don't know if I can pull it up on the bench. Let's go outside. Alright. I think my battery died. So anyway, got another one. So I don't know if I got the startup, but it starts up, it runs. It's wanting to die out. I think it's probably still got a lot of that extra oil in the bottom end. We may have a fuel issue, but let's find out. Turn the choke off. Alright, let's go half choke. Come on. It wants to run. I don't know. Let's pump it just a couple times. Got plenty of fuel in there. Filter's on there. It's getting fuel. Alright. So yeah. I think I need to put some more gas in. I see foam bubbles coming up in the gas line. Stay tuned. Alright guys. So I'm pretty sure I know why it won't run or stay running. And I don't know if any of y'all noticed, I was looking at the fuel plumbing a little funny when I was putting the carburetor back on, because it didn't quite look right. And so I came back and checked it again, and what we had was, you see the line down in there, that's coming from the fuel filter, well, it was going into the bottom of the carburetor here, and then the one here at the top of the carburetor was coming out of the bulb over here. So when I prime the bulb, you see you get fuel out, and that's not how it's supposed to be. You're supposed to come from the fuel filter out of the tank, come into the top port of the carburetor, come out of the bottom port of your carburetor, and then go into your priming bulb, and then the fuel coming out of the priming bulb is supposed to go back down into the tank. So what it does is it pulls the fuel into the carburetor. So the way this was plumbed up, and I had noticed that when I pumped it too much, it would flood it out. Well, that is why, because I'm pumping the bulb and I'm forcing fuel into the carburetor and therefore flooding the system out. You're supposed to pull fuel into the carburetor. So I'm gonna get this plumbing straightened out, and we're gonna try it again. Stay tuned. Alright guys, so I believe I got this thing figured out. I messed with it for probably a couple hours, and the fuel line routing seemed to be off. So I rerouted the fuel line. Like I said previously, normally you go from the lower side of the tank, and you want that line to come in to the carburetor, and then from the carburetor goes into the short side of your primer bulb, and then the long side of the primer bulb was normally the exhaust port side, and that would go back to the tank. So I redid the fuel line in here just like that, and it still didn't want to run quite right. So I ended up pulling the carburetor out, and it did have some gunk in it. Now, while I was in there working with cleaning the carb, I did notice that on this particular carb, the fuel in is on the bottom side. The reason I know that is because when I took it apart, the input filter screen was on the bottom side. So what I ended up doing is I'm coming out of the low side of the tank with the filter. It comes into the bottom of this carburetor, and then the top port of the carburetor comes over into the short side of the primer bulb, and then from the long side of the primer bulb back down into the tank on the high side. Now, one other thing, which I know these fuel caps here are notorious for leaking. There's a little valve in here that's supposed to allow it to breathe, but it's not allowed fuel to come out, and they always fail, and fuel leaks everywhere when you're using your saw. So one thing I did, I put a screw in the hole to seal it up, and then I just drilled a small hole in the top of the tank over here on the short side, or the high side I mean, and I ran a small fuel line up here as a vent, so that way the tank can vent and breathe. But if I tilt the saw this way, it's wrapped here, so it should not dump fuel out everywhere. So it seems to be running. I did a few heat cycles with it. I think I've done about 4 heat cycles. It seems to run okay, so it's time to take it out and let's see if it'll cut. I did put a little bit of a sharpening on the blade. It was pretty dull, but we'll go out here and try to cut a few of the things that we tried before I did the cylinder replacement. So let's go out there. Alright, here's the log that we tried to cut on last time. So let's try it again. Let's see if she'll fire up and let it warm up for a minute.